Bengals and Cowboys plus Browns and Steelers. I'm Ace, and I'll get into my picks coming up next on AFC North Talk.
We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North Talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Ay, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North Talk. Let's go. Ay, AFC North Talk.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It's your boy Ace, man, coming to you guys live. Sorry I couldn't be there yesterday. I had my birthday to attend, but we are back today. I didn't want to leave you guys without me coming here and giving you guys my takes for this week. So a little bit of a different week, right? I actually didn't know that the Ravens were on a bye, so they're resting up. They're going to come off of that bye and get a chance to take on the Giants. If you watched the last episode right after we did the review or the review show, you kind of heard me, spoiler alert, say that the Ravens are going to come out and pretty much kill the Giants when they get out of that bye week, December 15th. So right now that gives them the opportunity to go into the bye week, get things settled, looking into possibly some of those kicking issues that they've had there. But right now, the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion, are in a good spot, even though they're second in the AFC North at this stance. This gives the Steelers an opportunity to take even more of a command and lead over them with that. However, you're still in a good spot if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. You don't have too many nasty injuries to deal with. You're getting a bye week late in the season to get ready for the end of it. So I think if you're a Baltimore right now, you're in a good spot. You're healthy. You don't have any issues going on other than Deontay Johnson. That's neither here nor there. So for Baltimore, I think right now you're in a good spot. When it comes to the first game that I want to talk about, let's go ahead and start with my Bengals at Dallas. This game is in Dallas. The Bengals are favored right now, 5.5 points. I believe that's where the line opened up at. A lot of people are picking Cincinnati for this one. And you can see why. The Cowboys right now, no Dak, no fight really. They haven't been a good team. Cincinnati hasn't been a good team, but Dallas definitely hasn't been a good team. We talk about this Cowboys team being one that has really underwhelmed, I think, this season. You look at some of what they were expected to do. You talk about a Dallas Cowboys team. Now, they didn't do much in free agency. A lot of people expected them to come back and ride off of Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, offensive line that has been solid, a defense that was getting better. You talked about Trayvon Diggs and some of these guys, and they've been mauled with injuries. They've lost Dak. I believe they've lost Trayvon Diggs. They just haven't been the team that they were expected to be. And as a result of that, you're now starting Cooper Rush, and some of these guys to try to salvage your season. They haven't gotten much out of the run game either when it comes to that. But looking at these teams, man, the average score margin, Dallas is losing games by at least a touchdown. They're averaging on offense 20.7 points per game. They're allowing their opponents to average 28 points per game. So they are a very bad defense, similar to Cincinnati. They have allowed a lot of yards per game, just 10 less than Cincinnati. 359.7 yards per game is what they are pretty much giving up. So Cincinnati has the advantage from a scoring aspect, 27.9 points per game. They're tied in terms of the defenses. We'll see what happens, but you got to think Joe Burrow going against a weak defense is very advantageous for a city like or a team like Cincinnati. Both of these teams mirror each other in terms of what they do from a philosophy standpoint. They're both passing teams. Dallas is passing at 64.92% of the time. Cincinnati, 64% of the time as well. Yards per play, Cincinnati's the better offense. They're getting 5.8. They're actually getting more yards per rush too, 4.2. Dallas right now, 3.7. So not good for them. Yards per pass, Cincinnati's winning in that one as well, 7.5. Dallas, 6.3. Third down conversion, Cincinnati's converting more, 45%. Dallas has not converted as much on their third downs, 35.44%. Here's the thing, Cincinnati, even though they are a team with only 4 wins, they are red hot in the red zone. They are scoring touchdowns 71% of the time in the red zone. So when they get to the red zone, they are scoring touchdowns. However, Dallas, it's only been 43% of the time in the last 3 games. Cincinnati's red zone offense has been hot 75% of the time. They're scoring touchdowns. So when you look at it from an offensive standpoint, the Bengals would seem to have the better offense. They seem to have the advantage when it comes to that. Now, when we talk about the splits in terms of home, Dallas has just not been good at home. At home, their red zone scoring percentage is 29%. Their third down conversion percentage is 37%. In Cincinnati on the road is 36%. But Cincinnati, even on the road, is still 68.75% in terms of scoring in the red zone. So if Cincinnati's able to get it into the red zone, they're going to be able to score in this one. That gives them an advantage, I think, there. The weird predicament, though, for this one is both of these teams, as it stands right now, are in full effect in this race for draft picks, right? You talk about Dallas, they don't really have anything to fight for unless they plan on trying to. I mean, they've won 2. They end up winning, and they're 5-7. Cincinnati is 4-8. But right now, Cincinnati is at the 9th seed. They're tied with Chicago, New Orleans, and some of these other teams in terms of locking in a top 10 pick. Now, at this point in this juncture, Logan Wilson has gone on IR. I'm expecting Orlando Brown to soon follow him. He's doubtful for this Monday Night Football game. Evan McPherson has already been declared out as well. The Bengals have Kay York in as a kicker now. The Bengals seem to be giving up on the season. And so this would be a key game for them to lose. However, I think because of Joe Burrow playing against this bad Cowboys defense, the Bengals are likely still going to win this game. Now, what does that do for their chances of a top 10 slot? I'm not so sure because the Bengals have a ton of easy games upcoming outside of, you talk about the Browns game. I think that's one that they could drop. I think they could drop the Broncos. I think that they could also drop the Steelers. The Titans game, I'm not so sure, but these are some of the valuable games that could be the difference for this team as it stands right now between them and the top 5 pick. So a win here, which I think Cincinnati gets, probably does put that top 5 pick in jeopardy. If you're expecting to try to get a top 5 pick, I think you need to lose about, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably 4 out of your last 5 is probably what's needed. And it seems like they are trying to will things to kind of look like that with some of the guys that they're deactivating. And it kind of seems like they're punting on the season. But we'll have to see. Right now, this is evaluation time for the team. I kind of talked about that. They need to figure out where they're at. Believe it or not, Cowboys defense, flipping to the defensive side of things, their opponent red zone scoring in terms of them getting a touchdown is actually worse than the Bengals. They're giving it up more in the red zone than the Bengals defense. They're giving it up 77 basically percent of the time. They're giving it up in the red zone. When it comes to the Bengals, they're giving it up 68% of the time. So nearly, we're talking about 8% difference there, which is kind of crazy that they're allowing it that much. Now, the Bengals on the road are allowing red zone scoring 73% of the time. So, not as bad as the Cowboys, but still kind of crazy. Teams are looking to pass on both of these teams. And, this could be one where it's just going to be a high scoring game. Cooper Rush, I know he's not a household name. However, Russell Wilson just came and lit them up for 400 yards. Who's to say that Coop couldn't do it for 200, 3 plus, especially dealing with a guy like CeeDee Lamb on the back end? I'm just not sure that the Bengals have anyone that's going to be able to hang with him. So from my standpoint, this game is less about who's going to win and more about who needs the better draft position, right? Both of these teams were kind of established and kind of came into the season as teams that could compete this season and just honestly haven't. So when it comes down to it, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. I just think that there's just too much talent on that offense with Joe Burrow for this defense that has kind of struggled to kind of do anything. You kind of talk about them having key injuries themselves. They're down Zach Martin, Jake Ferguson, Trayvon Diggs. So, with that, I just don't know who on that team is going to be able to cover Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is still trying to get a triple crown. I think T. Higgins is still trying to have a good season because he's going into free agency. So I'm going to take the Bengals. So that's going to bring us to the next game. The next game we have is the rematch, right? Yeah, Craig, this is the rematch. That's what Debo said to Craig. And next Friday, this is the rematch. It's at Pittsburgh. I don't know if it's a snowstorm. I don't know what the chances are. Pittsburgh's coming off of a big win against the Bengals. However, they're coming off of a victory where that defense gave up a lot of points. Now, are the Cleveland Browns the Bengals offense? Is Jameis Winston, Joe Burrow? No. Is Jerry Jeudy, even though he's coming off a 200-yard game, is he Jamar Chase? No. But this is an offense, I think, in Cleveland that can kind of scare Pittsburgh in this situation. I think they can put up points. And I think that Jameis is going to take chances. With those chances, though, come a lot of what we saw last week, which was a lot of turnovers, pick sixes, things like that. And if this is that type of game that Jameis has against this Steelers defense, they're in trouble, right? The way Pittsburgh is playing right now, the opportunity in front of them with the Ravens at a bye, not being able to do anything but just sit back and watch, and for them to be able to get a commanding lead over the North, I just trust Pittsburgh more in this one. I think it's going to be a fun rematch. I'm really anxious to see what TJ Watt does and Myles Garrett does in this game because, even though Trey Hendrickson's leading the sacks, got to throw that in there. There were a lot of comments from Myles about TJ in the last game, and we'll see how it kind of works itself out. Now, TJ Watt is coming off of a big game. He had 2 sacks in that Bengals game. The last time they played, Myles, I believe, had 3. I don't think Myles got one the week after. So with these guys going up against each other again, the debate and the questions are out there. So now we'll see how it goes in this situation. You got to think that TJ Watt wants some get back. But when it comes down to it, man, the average score margin favors the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're averaging 24.7 points per game. The Browns, I don't know how, but apparently the Browns, I guess this is just for the season, so it throws in everything. They're only averaging 18.2 points per game. Pittsburgh's averaging more yards, 344 to 314. In opponent yards per game, they're giving it up more. I think when it comes down to it, Pittsburgh's just a better team at this point. You can only really survive off of the Jameis Winston message for so long. I think Jameis has done a great job of getting them riled up in Cleveland and trying to get them to rally. But at the end of the day, the wheels have to fall off at some point. I think that this Browns team can beat up on bad teams. I think that they could beat some of the, like you're talking about the Giants, the Bengals. I think they can beat those teams. But as it stands right now in this one, I have to go with what the Steelers are doing right now. Right now, the Steelers are like the favorite to win the AFC North. And so, unfortunately, I have to go with them. I think they're going to win the turnover margin, which when you look at them in the season, they're plus 1.3 in terms of that. Cleveland is negative 0.7. That's going to have a big a role in this game. And I just trust Pittsburgh to get those turnovers. And I don't trust Jameis to not get them. This is the Jameis experience. This is the 30 for 30. And I think that that's what the Steelers are going to hang their hat on. They're going to be able to get those turnovers, those opportunities. They're going to want to get their revenge. They're going to want to get that lead in the North. And they're also trying and competing with the top of the AFC. So they've got a lot of things going in their favor if they get this win. So I think that they recognize the moment. We've seen Mike Tomlin on Hard Knocks. We know that he knows what this moment means for the Steelers. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to pick the Steelers over the Cleveland Browns. I like them to take care of business at home, especially with it being in Pittsburgh. Unless there's some kind of crazy storm or something like that, I see the Steelers taking this one. But yeah, man, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. My name is Ace, and make sure that you guys check out AFC North Talk on every Tuesday and Wednesday. Peace out.